Hi there, this is Math 6, Unit 6, Lesson 7. Revisit percentages here. So we're going to be using equations today to help us find some percentages. Alright, so first of all we have a little number talk. It says to solve each problem mentally. Okay, so for this problem here we have 3 in a row and it wants us to think through several different containers. Bottle A, bottle B, bottle C, and bottle D. And as you read this, you're going to see how the 4 of those bottles relate to each other. Okay? And so just in terms of again, it's kind of mental math is what they want you to think about here. So it says that bottle A contains 4 ounces of water, 4 ounces of water, which is 25% of the amount in bottle B. Okay? So that means that if you consider this here, if you had all of bottle B like this, and you put it into a quarter, because 25% is like a fourth, and this is 25% and 50 and 75 and 100, that bottle A contains 4 ounces, which is 25% of bottle B. So this is bottle B, then bottle A fills up this much. Okay, just visually what we're talking about there. This is 25% of the whole thing, which is how much is in bottle A. Does this make sense so far? So if bottle A contains 4 ounces, then how much is in bottle B? Again, this is supposed to be some mental math here, but we're working through it together because we're just on a video. Alright, so we can see that each one of these segments is going to be 4 ounces apiece. And so we're talking about 4, 8, 12, 16 ounces are in bottle B. Okay, because it's going to be all the way up to the top there, 16 ounces. Another way of thinking about it could be to say, if you were thinking about a double number line, like so, right? If this was 0, and then this over here is 100, and this is like our percentages here, and then you had your ounces, and we had 100%, well, what we knew so far was 25%, so let's go here. Let's do what we knew. We knew we had 50s there, which makes us 25, and that's 75. So if this is our percentage, 25, 50, and 75, and it said that 25% was at 4 ounces, then we can see we're counting by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16. We would say that if this is A, then B is right here at 16 ounces. So you can see that on the nice double number line there. C contains 150% of the water in B. So what's 150%? Well, this is 125 and 150. So in mental math, you're going to be thinking about, well, whatever 100% is and 50% is, we're going to combine those two things together to get you how many ounces are in bottle C, which is 150. So 8 plus 16 is 24. So in bottle C, there are 24 ounces. Okay, so that's bottle C is 24 ounces. Bottle D contains 12 ounces of water. There's 12 ounces of water in bottle D. So what percentage of the amount of water in bottle B is this? So where do we find 12 at? Well, 12 is right here, which gives us 75% for D. So 75% is what is inside of D compared to B. And so you could do a lot of this with some mental math, but I wanted to kind of map out how you might also be able to show it with some drawings, with a double number line as well to help you solve that. Okay, that gets you back in the percentage mode. Now let's take a look at what we're talking about today. The first thing says, we're going to be representing a percentage problem with an equation. It says, answer each question and show your reasoning. Is 60% of 400 equal to 87? Now let's recall first of all what a percent is. A percent is a part out of 100. So 60% could be written as 60 out of 100. That is what 60% is. Now before you might have also used it as a decimal, which is 0.60. That is the same. This is 60 hundredths, and this is 60 over 100, or you could even get rid of zeros and have 6/10. You could reduce that down in a different fraction, different things we can do there. Now 60 out of 100, or 60% of, the of means we're going to multiply 60% of 400. Is that equal to 87? Well, let's solve this and see. That's our question. Is it equal to 87? That's what we want to find out. I can reduce 100 is here, and there are 4 of the 100s here, right? So there's 4 100s inside of 400. 4 times 60 is 240. That, unfortunately, does not equal 87. So we would say that no, 60% of 400 is not equal to 87. Okay? Now again, this is using fractions here. If you're more of a decimal person, you could have done 60 times 400. And in doing that, or 0.60 times 400, you would still get 240 and still say no, it's not equal to 87. So if you prefer decimals, that's what that equation would look like if you're writing an equation. For B, 60% of 200 equals 87. Well, again, we already know, well, we don't know exactly, but let's take a look here. Let's do 60 out of 100, and we're going to multiply that by 200. Well, there's one 100 there, and there are two 100s there. 60 times 2 is equal to 120. That also does not equal 87. So we would say no, it doesn't equal 87. And the last one here, 60%, which is 60 out of 100, of 120, does that equal 87? And this one doesn't reduce quite as nicely. Okay, we could reduce it by thinking, okay, let's get rid of the zeros here, cancel that, so it's 6 over 10. Now 10 goes into 120 12 times, and 12 times 6 is 72. Now does that equal 87? Again, no, it does not. It does not equal 87, so none of these actually equal 87. Alright, but you're able to turn the percentage into a fraction or a decimal, multiply it by a given number to decide if that percentage of the whole amount is actually equal to that small amount there, which it wasn't, but that's what we got. Let's look at the next part of this, part 2. So 60% of x is equal to 87. We were kept guessing. We were kept changing the value of x to try to figure out, is that equal to 87? So if we wanted to find out what x is equal to, right, we could figure this out. It says write an equation that expresses the relationship between 60% x and 87 and solve your equation. So we were guessing 400, 200, 150. So what would be the number? The question here is we're asking what would be the number that is 60% of what number is actually equal to 87. So to solve that, we could do 60 over 100 for the 60%, and we'll do it, multiply it times x, that's what we're going to look for, the missing variable, and we'll set it equal to 87. So in doing this, we're going to find out what number actually can be multiplied by 0.6 and give us 87 as a solution there. So to do this, we divide both sides by 60 over 100, divide this by 60 over 100, like so. So this is going to be 87 divided by 60 over 100. There's no way of writing that. Or it's 60 times 100 over 60, like that. All right. And then this is kind of some long stuff here, so if we can cancel out the zeros there, and then we can reduce this down from 10 over 6. We can say 5 goes in here, or 2 goes in here 5 times, 2 goes in here 3 times. So we really have 5/3. Okay, so we reduce that down. Does 3 go into 87? Let's see, 387 goes into 2 times 6, 17. It does not. So we have a really crazy big number right there, which is not very pretty. And so if we pull out our calculators, what we find out is that when I do 87 times 5 divided by 3, I end up with 145. Alright, so just kind of take my word there for it. Alright, if I used a decimal version of this, which you could do, if I use a decimal version, we would say I do 0.60, right? 0.6 x equals 87. And if we divide both sides by 0.6, you can see that 0.6 goes into 87 how many times? Well, move the decimal over 1, move it over 1, and up right away. 6 goes into 8 one time, or 6. We subtract and have 2. 6 goes into 27 4 times, so 24. We subtract and we have 3, and we make that a 30. 6 goes into 35 times, and there's our answer, 145. So 60%, what we're saying is 60% of 145 is 87. Just the number, it's what it was. We were getting closer with our number guesses, but that's how you'd find out the exact or the precise number there. So this one shows how doing the fraction part can get a little complicated and not so nice when the numbers don't work out the way you'd like them to be. Okay? And that's okay. Oh, I could have done that there, huh? So 6 does go into 27. Oh well. I don't know what I was thinking. I have 8 minus 6. But no problem. Okay, number 3. Write an equation. That's you guys like it when I mess up. I know it. I know. You told me. Okay, write an equation to help you find the value of each variable. Solve the equation. Okay, so we're going to do 60%, 60%, which is 60 over 100, of C, so 60 over 100 C is 43.2. Okay, so how do you want to solve this here? Again, we could use some fractions and decimal work. I have a decimal over here and a fraction there, so I'm going to turn this into a decimal to do 0.6 C equals 43.2. I'm going to divide both sides by 0.6. And I'm doing this just because I'm working with a decimal on the answer side, or the solution side, so it's just as easy. Move the decimal over 1, and put it right on top right away. 6 goes into 43 7 times. For 42, we subtract, we have a 1, bring down the 2, we have 12. 6 goes into 12 2 times, and that's done there. So what does C equal? C equals 72. Over here, 38%. Again, we have 38 over 100 of E, so multiply by E, is 190. Alright, so I could divide both sides by 38 over 100, or multiply by the reciprocal, or I could turn this into a decimal. 38E equals 190. I'm going to do that with this one again, just makes it a little bit easier. So 0.38 goes into 190 how many times? Well, we move that over twice. We're going to move this over 1, 2, and immediately put it up there on top. Put our zeros there. 38 goes into 1 0 times, goes into 19 0 times, goes into 190. Look at this, 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19, and we are done. And then we put our space holders there, so we get 500. So E actually equals 500. So 38% of 500 is 190. Alright, activity 3. Puppies grow up revisited. It says puppy A weighs 8 pounds. Way to go, puppy A, which is 25% of its adult weight. We'll call that A. What will be the adult weight of puppy A? Well, here's what we're thinking. We're doing 25%, so 25 over 100, of the adult weight, so of multiplied by adult weight, is how much the puppy currently weighs, 8 pounds. So 25% of the adult weight is 8 pounds. That's what the puppy weighs right now. Now 25 over 100 could be reduced to 1/4, right? It's a quarter. A equals 8. I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, or by 4 basically. So A equals 8 times 4, which is 32. That one worked out nicely just to do it like that. Let's look at part B, or part number 2. Puppy B weighs 8 pounds, but that's 75% of its adult weight. So now we're going to do 75 over 100 which is times the adult weight A is how much? 8 pounds. So 75 over 100 is the same as 3 over 4. So 3/4 A equals 8. I could certainly multiply by the reciprocal or divide by 3/4, right? That's fine there, right? So let's do that just for now. Let's do one of these. We've been doing for a while. If I divide by 3/4, that means what? That means I'm doing 8 divided by 3/4, which means I'm doing 8 times the reciprocal, 4 over 3. Can't reduce there. So 8 times 4 is 32, and 3 times 1 is 3. And so A is equal to 32 over 3. It's not a pretty answer, but it is the correct answer for what that's going to be. You can turn it into a mixed number and find out what that's going to be, you know, if you want to. It's going to be 10 and 2/3, but not a big deal. If you haven't already, write an equation for each situation. Well, we wrote an equation. We did that one there, and there's our equation there. Okay? And that's how we found out what the puppies weighed, just like that. So, turning our page over to our summary. Summary simply is, if we know, make an example again, if we know that 455 students are in a school today, and that number represents 70% of the attendance, we can write an equation to figure out how many students go to the school, right? We can say, well, if we know 70%, we can make that as a 70% of The students who go to school, 70% of the students, is 455. And we can divide both sides by 70 over 100, which means multiply by the reciprocal right there. We can do some reducing and some multiplication and end up with the total number of kids at school is 650. So something you can do there, and it works out. All right, we're going to pause there, let you do your homework, and we'll come back and check it together in just a moment. Okay, homework time, Math 6, Unit 6, Lesson 7. It says a crew has paved 3/4 of a mile of road. They have completed 50% of the work. How long is the road they're paving? Okay, a couple ways of approaching this here. If they've done 50% of the work, that means they are halfway done, right? So they're halfway done, which means whatever they've done here, 3/4 of a mile, we need to multiply that by 2. You don't have to make it in a percent problem. This is just 3/4 times 2 because they've done half of it. You can see it quickly with it being 50%. That's one way of thinking about it there. The other way of thinking about it, because of the way we've been doing it in this lesson, is we're doing 50%, 50 out of 100, of the road. How long is the road? 50% of the road is done, and 50% of the road length is 3/4 of a mile. That's the equation they actually want you to set up. So 50% of the road length is 3/4 of a mile. So what does this work out to be? Well, it's 50 over 100, which is a half, times x equals 3 over 4. Okay, so then what do? I divide both sides by a half. So this becomes 3/4 divided by a half, which becomes 3/4 times 2 over 1, which is basically 3/4 times 2, which is 6 over 4. And what did we say at the beginning? We're going to do 3/4 times 2. Same idea. So 6 over 4 is 1.5. Okay, so how long is the actual road? 1.5 miles. And that's the idea. Okay, number 2, 40% of x is 35. Write an equation. It shows 40% x and 35. Sure. So 40%, we've been doing 40 out of 100, of x is 35. Now use your equation to find x. Okay, so to do this here, we're going to multiply or divide by the 40 over 100. So we're going to say x is equal to 35 divided by 40 over 100. So we just divide it right there, 40 over 100, and I rewrote it there, which becomes 35 times 100 over 40. And I can multiply this out, or I can reduce things. I'm going to choose to reduce this first of all, because this is really 35 over times, in this case here we'd say 10 over 4, 10/4, which is actually going to be 5 over 2. Okay, you can think about how many 20s are in here. There are 5 20s and 2 20s, so 5 over 2. So when I multiply that out, we have 175 over 2, which can then be done with a calculator to figure out that it's 87.5. So 40% of 87.5 is 35. And it's okay to have a decimal answer, that's fine. Okay, Priya has completed 9 exam questions. That's 60% of the questions on the exam. So what do we know? To write an equation, we have 60% of the questions. All right, Q for questions is how much is done is 9. So she's done 9. 60% of the questions is 9. So now to solve this here, let's change this real quick before we solve it. Let's reduce this here. So 6 over 10 can be reduced to 3 over 5, 3/5. Q equals 9. So now we're going to divide both sides by 3/5, divide by 3/5, so that we say that Q equals 9 divided by 3/5. That becomes 9 times 5 over 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times, and 3 times 5 is 15. So Q equals 15. That means the number of questions on the exam is 15. All right, number 4. Answer each question and show your reasoning. So 20%, so 20 out of 100 of A is 11. What is A? Over here, 80%, 80 out of 100 of C is 20. Over here, 75 out of 100, 75% of B is 12. And finally this one, 200 out of 100 of D is 18. So we have 4 equations set up there, right? And what we need to do to solve the equation is just like we've done before with the practice, right? We can reduce first of all, get rid of some zeros there, and we have 2/10, which would really be 1/5 times A equals 11. Multiply by the reciprocal, and what do we find out? A equals 55, just like that. If we do this one here, 75 over 100 is the same as 3/4. B equals 12. We multiply by the reciprocal, 4/3. And 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 4 times 4 is 16. So B equals 16. Over here, this is 4/5. So 4/5 C equals 20. We'll multiply by the reciprocal, multiply by the reciprocal. 4 goes into 25 times. 5 times 5 is 25, and that equals C. And the last one, 200 over 1 is the same as 2. That reduces to 2D equals 18. Divide both sides by 2, and D equals 9. So those are the 4 different equations there just worked out. Okay, the back side is going to be some review. Number 5, we want to just kind of review some stuff here. So what is the variable, what is the coefficient, and then which of these is the solution? So looking at this equation right there, the variable is going to be the letter. So the variable is going to be n. The coefficient is what? That's the number in front of the variable. So in our case here, what number is in front of the variable? 2. So 2 is the coefficient. And the solution is what comes after the equal sign. So we would say 7 is the solution. Alright, well, I guess probably shouldn't say 7. I mean, they might want you to solve it. I mean, really the solution to the equation is 7, but if you solve it out, it might be n. I didn't check the answer guide with the teacher's guide to see what it wants you to do. Let me see. If I work this out, I would get, sorry, to add 3 to both sides. I'd say 2n equals 10. I'd divide by 2, and n equals 5. So the real solution probably is n equals 5. So let's go with that instead. Let's do that one. Just thinking it through. I didn't think about that before. Alright, number 6. Which of these is solution to 1/8 equals 2/5 times x? Okay, so to get, let's write this out here. This is 1/8 equals 2/5 x. So to get this to go over there, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal or divide by 2/5, whichever way you want to think about it. Okay, so we're going to eliminate that and only have x over here. And this becomes 5 times 1 is 5, 2 times 8 is 16, and we have 5/16, which I see right here in B. None of those other ones are going to be anything like that. So I'm going to leave it there. Usually if it says all, there's going to be more than one. This one doesn't. Okay, find the quotients. These are just some quotients here, doing some math. So we have 0.001, we have 0.009. I'm going to move the decimal over 3 spots, move it over 1, 2, 3 spots, and put it up right away. So I have 1, and over the zeros, 1 goes into 9 times. So our answer is 9. The next one, 0.002 and 0.009. And move it over 3, move it over 3, right away. 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. We subtract, bring down a 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times, so we end up with 4.5. And our next one, we have 0.001, and here we have 0.0045. Decimal moves over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we put it up right away. 1 goes into 4 times, 1 goes into 5 times, so we're at 4.5. Okay, And then we do 45 thousandths here, or actually 10 thousandths divided by 0.02. What's going to happen here? Well, let's see what happens. So 0.02 and then 0.0045. Move it over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Decimal point up right away. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 goes into 5 2 times for the 4. Bring down a 0, and it goes into that 5 times. We end up with 2.25. So if you notice here, what's happening? When I divide by 1 thousandth, I get 9. Same thing divided by 2 thousandths is actually half of that. Over here, when I divide by this, I get 4.5. When I divide by 2 thousandths, I get half of that. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 50 is actually 25. That's it for today. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.